Okay. Hello, everyone watching this. I wanted to make a video for those who are struggling with some form of mental health problems. And I think it's a good idea to make a video myself in my current situation to get it off my chest and to let people know that they're not alone in this sort of situation. So I am Joe, and I am depressed and have anxiety. And those two things don't pair well with a lot. And I'm sure there are lots of people that have the same, and it's not good. It's a horrible thing to have to deal with those things. But there are a lot of people that will either not get a diagnosis of it, or they will get a diagnosis of it and it won't be anything that they take into account, and things just continue as normal. Unfortunately, I'm not one of those people that can get through that and continue as normal. For a while, for a couple months, I went through a really depressive state, and it's not something that is, it's not something that is unusual, but I went through points of feeling like it would be better off if I wasn't around, and having very serious thoughts of suicide and self harm. And those things come to you most when you're alone and you have these feelings, and to you it feels like there's no one to go to. And that might be because you've lost a loved one, or you've gone through a breakup, or you have no outlet to talk about things, or not an outlet that you're comfortable with talking about things with. And it's important that you know that that's not always true. There are so many people and so many ways of support that you can get. Admittedly, they're not all great, and I'll be honest, I can fully appreciate that coming from someone who's applied for therapy and, rescheduling and, just general untidiness when trying to figure out how to deal with it. So I understand the difficulty that there can be behind trying to get help, but there is ways of talking about it, even if it's not with people that you are generally close with, even if it's with strangers that don't have any idea what's going on. You just want a fresh start, a fresh conversation with someone. I know I did. I wanted to talk to people that didn't know, so you could explain the story better, because the further on that you get with your journey of trying to get through these serious mental health problems, you start to realize more, and more comes to your head. And when you're talking to people that you've already spoken to about stuff, it's almost like you feel like they know a different story to what you're trying to tell now. And that can be difficult because you can feel differently about things than you did, let's say, a month ago, a week ago, even a day ago. You can feel completely different. And it's not wrong. It's just much easier to rephrase it or talk about it better with someone who doesn't know. And I know that from experience. But even if it is talking to someone who doesn't know, or even if it is talking to someone who does, know generally, or even if it's talking to someone that you haven't spoken to in a while that you know you can trust. Like, all those things help, even if you don't realize it. They can be extremely, difficult, because you're talking about things that put you in a vulnerable state. You're not okay, and you're letting people know that, and that can be difficult, especially for guys, where they feel like it's not alright, when in reality it is okay to not feel okay. Like, that's not something that's to be ashamed of, especially not in this society where, everything is so much more accepting, and there's a lot more help and appreciation that are out there that you can tap into. So the initial reach for help is a start, even if that's the tiniest bit, just so people know that you're going through a tough time, or you're struggling and you really think that there's like something wrong. The initial contact with someone, or the initial reach out, or any sign, anything, just to let people know, is massive. It's huge. It is a really big step. And I can tell you that from someone who felt for a long time there was something wrong, and I never truly expressed it. And this is where I'm going to sort of go into a more personal side. Um, I would be told by my girlfriend at the time that I didn't talk about my feelings enough, and that's a problem. And there were problems with me not talking about my feelings because she didn't know what I was feeling, what I wanted. And the problem with that is when we got back into a relationship after being broken up, was that I decided that, hey, she's right. But because I hadn't before, everything came out so wrong. Everything came out different to how I had thought about it in my head for a long time. So it took a while to really articulate and express myself to her in a way that wouldn't be jarring or wrong, per se. And that comes a lot with people that don't typically talk about their feelings that often. You, what I find is that if you don't talk about your feelings often, when you try your best to get the words out that you haven't spoken about or have kept inside your head for so long, you then, when you verbalize them, it all becomes this jumbled up mess of emotions and words that you really want to say, but they don't come out right, or they come out wrong. And then the problem with that is when the anxiety comes about, you worry about what that's like. And it's really hard to not worry. That after one or two or three or even a couple times you try and talk and things come out wrong, and your partner gets annoyed at you, or your parents get annoyed at you, or your friends get annoyed at you, or they just generally don't understand, it's hard for you to then again go, I'm going to attempt to talk again, because you think you're going to do it wrong, which there is no wrong way of talking. There is no right or wrong way of expressing your emotions, and I felt like that wasn't true. I would try and talk about how I felt, and I didn't know how to say it, and then I ended up sounding like a dickhead. I would say things I didn't mean, or I would say things that weren't true in my head. Not lies, just things that I didn't mean. especially if people really, care for you, love for you as who you are, and really want to help, they won't fully cut it away when you get things wrong, when you're talking about your feelings. And what I mean by that is they won't tell you that what you're saying is wrong. Or when you come back afterwards and apologize or go, hey, you know what, I said things wrong. Can I try and rephrase? I'm really sorry. When you come back to that, then they won't say, oh, well, you said it and I'm really hurt by that. And they won't take it as something that means so much. They'll go, okay, what did you mean? What did you want to say? What did you mean to say? How did you mean to phrase it? Because it's so difficult to get those words out. And if they understood, if they cared and they wanted to help, they would let you. They would let you try and rephrase. They would let you. That's something that a lot of young men especially need to hear. With dealing with partners or dealing with a relationship or with friendships even, or even a parent to child relationship, that sometimes people will care so much less than how much you care. And I know that for a fact. I know that people will care so much less than you care. And that's just the way that it will be with people that try and cut you out of their lives, or with people that do bad things that hurt you and they don't care and they feel no remorse and they just go with it. And then you stop trusting, and then you stop feeling like those real, raw, true emotions can be let out and shown to people that, you believe, you trust. Don't let the people that don't care affect how much you feel. Because I can, again, tell you now from experience, if you feel so deeply and emotionally involved, or you care so unbelievably much about something, and then someone turns around and rips it away like it wasn't even there, like you've written something in permanent marker and they've just scribbled all over it or ripped up the paper like it wasn't even there. If that happens, your trust is going to be affected, and that's not something you can prevent. You're going to feel like you trust people less. There's going to be less of a confidence in people that you meet, or less of a confidence in people that you might have had more in the past. But just know that the raw, the real, the true feelings and emotions that you hold, especially for the people that you care about or that you show that immense amount of care and love for, that shouldn't be stripped away. You still can feel that way and care so deeply and so much. You just need to learn that some people don't deserve it because they don't care about it as much as you do. And that's okay. Those people don't care, and what are you to do about it? Things are out of your control. You cannot do anything about it. You can't worry about it. Obviously, you're going to worry about it, but don't let it fully consume you. It's out of your control. And yes, you can still love someone and hope they come back dearly, but you have to, at the point of the ripping of the band-aid, the plaster, at the point of disconnection, you have to go, it's out of my control. But you can hope dearly that they can come back, or you can hope dearly that sometime you might find some sort of reconnection, but you can't hold on to it. It's not a lifeline, it's not a rope that you're clinging onto forever. You need to find some other stability. And that'll come from yourself, that won't come from anyone else. Filling some sort of void that you have because you don't trust people, you feel ill in the sense that you're not mentally well, you feel unstable, you can't feel like you're stable again if you don't give yourself a rope to hang on to. And as soon as that builds up, you have 2 ropes, and then you have planks, and you built yourself a ladder, and you can just keep climbing and climbing and climbing and climbing. And if that person decides to come back, then you have a ladder they can climb up. Because maybe they might have had just a single strand of hope, a single rope that they're holding on to. And because you've built yourself up to a point of feeling confident in yourself to know that nothing you do now is going to make anything worse. You are living your life day by day and going through the motions and feeling how you're feeling. And they cut you off and they decide to come back. Well, now you've got support. Now you've got stability. So if they decide they're going to try and cut your rope, you've got 2. You've got 2 ropes and you've got planks. You've got a whole thing you can climb up. You've got a whole platform of support. Mass amounts of stability. And just to go over one last point with anxiety, and I know a lot of people struggle with anxiety. It's a very common and very unavoidable diagnosis. The feelings of worry that you have about things, again, out of your control, or the feelings you have that really make you doubt what you think is true, or what you think is a potential, or what you think is a definite, all of those stuff that are in the future that you're anxious about, that you feel so heavily about, those things you have to take into account if it really can affect you, in a sense that you can do anything about it. You are in such a vulnerable position worrying about all this stuff. If you blockade that up and say, hey, well, you know, she could be doing this, or she could be doing that, or, you know, or my friends could be out with other people and I don't know, they've said they're busy today, or, you know, all of that stuff, it's not in your control. And as soon as you find someone that really takes that into account, or you find friends that really take that into account, that really understand that you're going to worry, that you have these deep down, very, very important, you know, worries and feelings that some things can be wrong and you get anxious. And this is what they would call overthinking, you know, in like relationships on TikTok or whatever. It's like the word of it is like overthinking. If they realize that that's actually a serious problem, that you really think about it and you need, you know, just a bit of reassurance just to let you know, those people that meet you and take that into account and really care for you in that sense, they'll understand. So the people that don't, and the people that throw you aside, that rip everything apart for you, that put you in such a vulnerable position you don't know what to do, those people you need to let go. Even if it's temporary, even if it's just doing things to distract yourself, watching a movie, playing games, talking to your friends if you've lost a relationship, talking to your friends if you've lost your friends or whatever. Just do something with your family. If you don't have family, you go out, you do things that you enjoy, or even if it's things you used to enjoy and you don't enjoy it anymore, because that's a very common symptom of depression, is you feel like you don't enjoy things as much as you used to. Find something new. Do old things that you used to enjoy just to distract yourself, just to take your mind off it. It might not work, it might not make you feel better, but it will put you in a better position because you're not thinking about it the whole time. Do something that takes up your concentration, because God so help me if you go out and mess around and, fuck about with drugs and alcohol. That's not going to help. So, to finish off, yeah. If you have anxiety, you have depression, you aren't alone. And I just wanted to make a video because it's a big thing in my life currently and has been a big thing in my life before. And I want people to feel like they can watch this and go, hey, what this guy's saying, it seems pretty relatable. It seems pretty, I feel like I've heard that before in my own head, maybe. And to kind of go, well, yeah, you do feel like that. And it's not okay. And it's not right. And it's unfair. But you're gonna make it through. And as Robin Williams once said, don't go for a permanent solution to a temporary problem. Okay. Love you guys. Keep safe. All the best.